All right, we should be going live. I am going
Right.
All right. So, all right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us again on a Tuesday evening. We got lots of thunderstorms going on here in Charlotte. God, last night it sounded like there were bombs going off. It was pretty intense. But thanks for joining us. Let us know you're here. I'm Anne Barwick, and I'm going to be leading a pretty quick workshop tonight. And I've got Andrea on the back end, managing all the Facebook comments. So give Andrea something to do. Let us know if you're tuning in, and even if you're watching this as a replay, let us know. We love to know how any of the stuff that we do resonates with you. So tonight we chose a topic. It's kind of near and dear to my heart, winning ways through chaotic times, which I think pretty much all of us can agree these are some chaotic times going on, certainly unknown and unfamiliar times. The reason I chose this topic is really based on my mother's book, which I don't know, this may view backwards, but it's Winning Ways to Succeed with People, 7 Powerful Skills. And she wrote this book in the 70s and based a corporation off of it and taught these skills in the US and the UK. I was lucky enough to join her with that when I got older. But one of the foundational skills that she has is what she calls listening to understand. And surely you've all heard of that. You may call it following and reflecting. Some people refer to it as acknowledging and validating, right? So just really listening to others, which I figured would be a great topic to do tonight, just because we've got a lot of varying opinions out there, and just taking time to listen to each other a little more thoroughly and not just listen. Instead of listening to understand, I see a lot of listening to insert your comment and your opinion, which is such a natural thing to do, right? I'm totally guilty of that. My background as a therapist and organizational development consultant, and I'm a certified coach. And so I do a lot of listening in my profession, right? And I also grew up with a mother who based a whole corporate listening to understand. So I've had that influence in my life a lot. Yet it's still something I have to practice and really intentionally think about. It's kind of like going to the gym and you get that muscle or body to the place that you feel is great and strong, but you have to continue to keep doing that. It's not like you're just set that way and you can carry on life and it's always there. So listening to understand is very much the same way. It's a skill that we have to practice and hone in on. So I just want to start out by saying one of the things that I feel like about listening is it is such a gift that you can give to other people. It's such a wonderful gift, and not only are you giving it to other people, it's such a win-win, because when you're listening to somebody, the return on investment, what you get back from that is just really, it's huge. It opens doors to relationships. At work, it can decrease a lot of miscommunication. It can save a lot of time. There's a lot of ROI with listening to understand in the workplace. And unfortunately, not a lot of it's going on. It can take discord to harmony. There's so many gifts that you can get from it. And there's so many places that you can use it. So in the workplace, obviously, it can help you get to your goals a lot faster when you have a team that's listening to understand each other, not just listening to input their opinion and to drive something home that they want. It's great at home with your kids. I have a lot of clients that ask me, and I really want to increase the self-esteem of my child. What could I do? Listening to understand. It's really key. It's very empowering to the person that you're listening to. And with children, it's so empowering and it can increase their self-esteem hugely. If hugely is even a word, but it will, it will, big time. So before I get into the 4 steps that I'm going to tell you tonight, 4 pretty quick and easy steps of listening to understand, I'd like to read a poem to you that we used to read in my mother's workshops a lot. And I don't know the author. It's a pretty old poem. You'll know that just by the reference of how much a newspaper costs in it. But I think you'll get the gist of how important and how wonderful a gift listening to understand can be. So this is called the Please Listen poem. And just in case you want this poem later, email me. It's ANNE@ASTRONGU.com. That's Anne at AStrongU.com. It's a great poem to have and to even share with your teams or your children. So please listen poem. When I ask you to listen to me and you start giving me advice, you have not done what I asked. When I asked you to listen to me and you began to tell me why I shouldn't feel that way, you're trampling on my feelings. When I ask you to listen to me and you feel you have to do something to solve my problem, you have failed me. Strange as that may seem. Listen. All I ask is that you listen. Don't talk or do, just hear me. Advice is cheap. 20 cents will get you both Dear Abby and Billy Graham in the same newspaper. There you go. And I can do for myself. I am not helpless. Maybe discouraged and faltering, but not helpless. When you do something for me that I can and need to do for myself, you contribute to my fear and inadequacy. But when you accept as a simple fact that I feel what I feel, no matter how irrational, then I can stop trying to convince you and get about this business of understanding what's behind this irrational feeling. And when that's clear, the answers are obvious, and I don't need advice. Irrational feelings make sense when we understand what's behind them. Perhaps that's why prayer works sometimes for some people, because God is mute and he doesn't give advice or try to fix things. God just listens and lets you work it out for yourself. So please listen and just hear me. And if you want to talk, wait a minute for your turn and I will listen to you too. So pretty powerful, right? Let us know your thoughts on that. Does that poem resonate with you? Add that in the comments. Or have you ever experienced that where you just wanted somebody to listen to you and instead they want to give you advice? Or if it's a hard time that you're going through, a lot of us want to push the person through that. We don't want them to feel bad. So we're like, oh, let me make it better. But that really is dismissing that person's feelings and it's not going to help them feel better. Really, it won't. Just listening to them and giving them a chance to talk about things and emote whatever the issue is just such a gift, right? So here's the 4 steps. We'll start with step 1, and that is to tune in. So the first thing you want to do is you got to set the stage for a place that you actually can tune in and really listen to understand. So you need to tune in with your eyes, your ears, your mind, and your heart. Your heart's probably the biggest one, because if you could connect with somebody with your heart and listen to them, usually a lot of those other things will tune in. So it's important to set the stage there, to tune in. And if someone comes to you with a problem or an issue at work or your child, if it's not the best time for you to listen to them and to really fully give your undivided attention, then let them know that and say, hey, can I finish these emails I've got to do? And then I want to really sit down with you and hear you. Or can we set a time tomorrow at the beginning of work, or whatever it may be? But set the time, because if you're just going to sit there and listen and you know you really can't be there, it's kind of a waste of both of yours time, right? Okay, so that's one, tune in. Number two, understand. So be willing to listen. And if for some reason you're not getting what the person's saying, be willing to interrupt and say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure if I'm following you on that. Let me check in and make sure I understand, right? It's not a time to gather information, new information, because then you're leading the conversation. So don't ask for new information. Just check in if there's something you don't understand, right? So really, during this time, what you're trying to do is view the world from the perspective of the speaker, of whoever's talking to you. And a lot of times I get this, well, I don't agree with them. I don't believe what they're saying. So remember, listening to understand does not mean you're agreeing or even advocating what they're saying. It's just a process of learning and understanding what they're saying. That's empathy, right? Doesn't mean I have to have been in your shoes, but I'm trying to understand your perspective here, right? So tune in, understand. 3, say what you understand. This is the reflecting part, right? Check out. And again, instead of that you understand something, say what you understand. Because a lot of us will sit there and go, yeah, totally get that. Oh my God, I know exactly what you're feeling, right? And that's okay every once in a while. But if you do that really often while someone's talking to you, one, it kind of gives the impression that, like, let's move on. There's some impatience there. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, okay, let's move on now, right? Also, it's highly unlikely you really do know exactly what they're saying, or you can relate exactly to it. Even if you've been in the same situation before, you're a different person and it was a different context, right? So don't make the assumption that you know. And even if you think you do know, give them a chance to talk about it. Saying, I know where you're coming from, kind of shuts it down. So check out the accuracy and say what you think you know they're talking about, right? Check out your understanding. And this is a great thing to avoid misunderstandings, especially like at work when someone's setting up a task or a goal for a team and everybody's like, yep, we're on board, we got it. Before you do that, say, let me check out and make sure I've got it, right? So reflect back what you're hearing them to say. So that'll create a lot of time savers there, because you're likely gonna get it right. If you're not right, they're going to correct you on that. And they'll be like, no, we missed a step there. Here we go, right? So it's kind of putting the time in up front so you won't lose time later. The other thing is to, avoid misunderstandings, right? So it gives the speaker a chance to correct you. The other thing is, have you ever talked with someone and they're sharing a problem or something with you and you're like, yeah, totally get that. And then they keep sharing it over again. And then they share it with you again, maybe twist it a little bit, change it a little bit, but they're saying the same thing over and over again. And you're like, oh my God, why is this person telling me this for the 5th time? Like, I'm telling them I got it. Chances are there's a couple things going on there. One is they don't know you've got it. By you saying, okay, they're like, I don't think they really got it. So I'm going to say it to them again. I'm going to shift my version so maybe they'll get it. So if you actually repeat back what you understand, not parrot it, but, share with them what you're getting from them. And remember, you're tuned in with your eyes and your ears and your heart. So you're not only saying what you understand their words to say, but their tone of voice, right? And also their facial expressions. So you could say one thing and the words are exactly the same. Like, it's raining outside. It's raining outside, right? Like, exact same words, two different meanings there. So when you're reflecting what you're hearing them say, catch that, like, I hear some sarcasm in there, or some disbelief or sadness, whatever it is. Make sure you get that feeling in there. The other thing is when someone's talking over and over about something, it's usually they may not be able to get it. They may be processing. So for you to say what you're hearing back to them, it gives them a chance to hear it instead of you just saying, yeah, got it, move on. I've heard that 5 times. But to say, oh yeah, I really hear blah, blah, blah. They're hearing it back for themselves. Why do you think therapy is so successful, right? Even in coaching, we do a lot of that, where it's just kind of saying back what you're hearing from them. And they can have some really big aha moments there. Like, God, I hadn't even thought that there is a little sarcasm in my voice when I say that. Or so you're really giving them some insight there. You could be, which that's awesome, right? So the fourth one is pause. After you've said what you understand and you've reflected to them, just give a pause. Let them think about it. They may be pondering what you just said. And is that right? Is that what I really said? Or, wow, that is what I said. Give them a minute to reflect themselves what you've just told them you heard them to say. And then just let there be that space. It's okay. I know a lot of times we're really scared of quiet, and we want to fill in that gap really fast because it can be uncomfortable. But that's sometimes where all the magic happens. So allow that space for someone to sit in there and contemplate and think about things, right? And then you kind of go back through that cycle again. So you go into tune in, understand, say what you understand, and pause, right? Hopefully you don't need to go back to tuning in because you're already there, and you can just go back to the listening to understand, the saying what you understand, and the pausing. Try it out. It's an amazing thing when you get into that place where you're thinking, I'm ready to share my opinion with that person. Try first listening to their opinion and their position on something. And it's not a place of saying you agree with them. It's just a place of like, hey, let me check it out and hear what you've got to say. I bet everybody out there listening to this can name the people that they know listen to them. You have your go-to people that you know are going to listen to understand, because that's how valuable it is. That's what a gift it is. We tend to forget about that, though. And we tend to forget about it even with the closest people. So I children where I want to solve their problems for them. But just by listening to understand and not jumping in and solving it for them, it validates that I recognize, you know what? They have the strength and the knowledge to solve this on their own. And what's great is someone's trying to solve a problem and they're talking about it, and you don't solve it for them. Whatever they come up with is going to be more empowering for them, that solution, because they came up with it, right? So if I come up with a solution for my kids or my spouse or even my clients, it's easy for them to come back and say, well, you were wrong, Anne, right? But if they come up with a solution, it's something they own and they've gotten there because it's probably right for them. And they're probably going to invest more to make it work. The other thing is if you're not solving a problem and you're just being there as a friend, it builds that trust. And then it's also likely that if you've listened to understood, even your coworkers, that they realize there's a trust that's been built there. And they're more likely to come to you if they have a problem, even if they have a problem with you, because they know you're going to be likely to listen and understand it. Right. And that's a really great thing because that creates trust and them coming to you instead of to everybody else in your office or all of your other friends. And they're telling everything about you that they feel like is wrong because they can't come to you because there's no trust there because they're scared you're not going to listen to them. So even when somebody's coming at you with something that feels uncomfortable, give it a shot. Try listening to understand. And I would love to hear your success stories on this, because I know, like, I guarantee if you listen to understand somebody, you're going to have some really incredible wins. So please email me, share those with me. Again, it's Anne at astrongu.com. And that's Anne with an E, ANNE at ASTRONGU.com. And I'll be glad to share these steps with you. I'd love to hear your wins. I know you're going to have some. Remember, it's about approaching it from your heart as well. So keep that in mind, not just your ears, right? But your heart as well. So I'm going to check real quick and see who is on here. Let's see. Excuse me as I show you my arm. And I think Andrea's been on the backside managing everything. I can't get it up. But anyway, thanks for joining us. And let's see, next week on Tuesday, we're going to talk about, I'm going to do some 7 ways that can really halt the listening process to understand. So 7 tools, 7 things you want to stay completely away from when you're trying to listen. And maybe even talk a little bit about some appreciation messages. So I hope you'll join us next Tuesday just for a 30-minute workshop. And then we'll be getting back to our regular Risk Takers, Dream Makers interviews as well. Thanks again for joining us. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you listening to me tonight, and have fun with the new skill. Thanks.